And we're back. Thank you for joining me at the Critics Clinic for all things movie and entertainment related. As always, before we go any further, click the like, the subscribe, leave a comment, do all those fun things. We are here today to talk about the pivotal film that is Straw on Netflix, a straight-to-streaming service movie by Tyler Perry. Stars Taraji P. Henson. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. If you don't want any spoilers, fast forward to the time I put on the screen just to get to my honest and accurate review. I'll just do a quick little rundown. I don't want to give too much away about this movie so we can get right to the review. This movie, again, it stars Taraji P. Henson as a down-and-out, single, struggling mother doing whatever she can to make a way for her daughter. There's a series of events that take place in the movie, from her daughter getting taken away from her via Child Protective Services, to her getting fired at her job, to her unbeknownstly getting mugged, if you will, at the grocery store that she works at. And she has to shoot and kill the person who's trying to mug her and her boss. And because she snaps, final straw, she also kills her boss. She gets to a bank to try and cash her last check before she was fired by her boss. And pretty much the rest of the movie takes place as like a bank robbery type film, to where she has all these hostages in the bank, and Sherry Shepherd's character is like the manager of the bank and is trying to help her through the situation. Tiana Taylor plays like a head officer that's trying to talk her through things because she's had experiences as a single mother as well and knows where she's coming from, and they connect. And most of the movie takes place with Taraji P. Henson trying to prove her innocence, that there was a police officer that set all these things off, and this man threatened to kill her. They do finally find the police officer, and they remove him from the scene. She turns herself in, comes outside, and that's it. But not before getting a call from her mother telling her that her daughter had actually died the day prior, and then they redo all the scenes at the end showing that her daughter was never really there, and she was like talking to no one and was just like showing up at the daughter's school when the daughter wasn't actually there. And so there's a little bit of a twist at the end. So that's kind of it. Go watch the movie on Netflix. If you want the full, obvious summary of it, go watch it. I'm here to give you my review of what I thought about the movie. Now, those of you that have seen my reviews know I can be a little harsh on Mr. Tyler Perry, but only because I care about him and I want him to give us what we deserve as an audience, specifically a black audience. And I'll get to that at the end of my review. But I would say initially, I would say with the cast and crew that can make or break a film. A lot of the other people in this movie are lesser known characters. They've been in some other Tyler Perry projects. The biggest names are going to be obviously Taraji P. Henson, Sherry Shepherd, Tiana Taylor. I would say from that standpoint, Taraji P. Henson does have a tendency sometimes to overact. I would say from this standpoint, though, it was valid, because initially she's kind of over the moon acting, but then towards the end you understand it's more of a psychotic type break situation, which is why she's so loud and boisterous. So I think from a Taraji P. Henson standpoint, I think she did a great job for the role, I would say. And I would also say from Tiana Taylor, she actually did good. I have no really bad notes. I think she played the character well. It was a bit over the top of what a regular police officer would be speaking to the rest of their precinct about, honestly. She kind of stepped out of bounds, I feel like, a few times. But I would say it was the script. That wasn't her fault. She was acting out the script. So I'd say from a cast and crew standpoint, I'm going to surprisingly give it a 2 out of 2. I don't really have any notes for the cast and crew. They did fine with the script that was given to them. I would say from a plot standpoint, probably going to get some backlash about this, I would say the plot was a bit all over the place for me. You know, I'm looking at it, one, from a movie critic, and two, from a medical professional. There were some parts just medically that didn't make sense. Again, without giving any spoilers, there's a part towards the end where a lot of the things she'd been doing were not real. And I understand the idea of a psychotic break, but just like logistically, chronologically, it didn't really make sense about why she was having this psychotic break. And then some of the other things, I guess Tyler Perry was trying to show all these medications, and the daughter had seizures, and there was like a bottle of amoxicillin on the nightstand, and I was like, that is not for seizures, that is an antibiotic. So it was just interesting. I feel like he maybe should have had a little sideline with a medical professional about some of this stuff. And then there's, I think, one of my other medical friends is pointing out in the hospital was a whole bunch of little MacBooks in the hospital scene, which I thought was hilarious. But I would say from that standpoint, from a plot standpoint, Tyler Perry tends to show the lowest of the low in terms of where black people are in society, but specifically black women, which he gets a lot of backlash for that. And I would say in this movie, he pretty much brings out all the stereotypes, which I say works for and against him. Against him because it's a tired trope. I think we as an audience don't want to always see that. So I think from that standpoint, he really needs to step it up. We don't, not every black person is down and out. So I'd say from that standpoint, it works for him because it does help serve to show what real people in the world are going through and what people can go through before they snap. So from that part, I actually do appreciate it and I understand it. I just feel like for me, it was a bit tired, and I know I got a lot of messages to watch this movie and definitely watch this. It's so good. It's one of his best movies. And so a lot of people are really enjoying it. So I do have to take that into account. It's just, for me, it's a trope that has run its course for me. Again, plot-wise, it was nothing super complex. She's down and out. She's going through what she can to make a way for her daughter. Again, I guess the twist at the end was the only thing that was out of the ordinary for this type of movie, which I commend him for trying something new. I just don't know if it landed, because again, chronologically, the twist at the end didn't really make sense for the plot. I'm going to give it a 1 out of 2, and we're going to move on. We're at a 3. Production-wise, I do always joke about this because, as you know, a lot of movies are filmed in Atlanta because of Tyler Perry Studios, actually. He's moved pretty much all of Hollywood to Atlanta and to the East Coast. And I always joke, I can always tell if this movie was filmed in my backyard or not because I'm in Atlanta. This movie felt like it was filmed in my backyard because it was. So a lot of my friends, it's funny, they work out at a facility where this was actually shot in the parking lot, and it was very clear that it was in that parking lot. So I'd say from production standpoint, we need to step our game up a little bit. I feel like some of the signage from some of the businesses in themselves, specifically the hospital, I'm pretty sure it was filmed at a hospital that's well known here in Atlanta that shut down about a year or two ago, and it just felt that way. It didn't feel like a functioning hospital. There's plenty of hospitals to shoot at here. It's a major medical facility in Atlanta, a medical hub. But anyway, I would say from a production standpoint, I'm going to give it a 1 out of 2. We're at a 4 right now. Music, it didn't make or break the film. As you know, if it's not a musical, if it doesn't progress the story, it's either an all or nothing. So I'm going to give it a 2. So right now we're at a 6, which is pretty high for a Tyler Perry movie. And then we're going into my final category. How did I enjoy the film? This is the deep dive here. So I would say overall, I didn't hate the movie. I watched it all the way through. Again, it's a streaming service, so you have a tendency to stop, do bathroom breaks, get snacks, stuff like that. I didn't do that. I watched it all the way through. I didn't take breaks. So from that standpoint, I think I enjoyed it. I think Taraji P. Henson did a good job. I think the plot needed a lot of work. Again, the trope of the down and out black woman, a little tired, and it's kind of Tyler Perry's main wheelhouse. But I do understand there are real people going through that who can identify with that. And I understand there's a huge audience for that because it is a real situation. So I'm not discrediting that at all. I just feel like there's also another audience out there that deserves more. One of my friends was saying, this is Tyler Perry's wheelhouse, and at least he's giving us this. But to me, that's not fair to say, this is all that this audience deserves. This is all that the black audience deserves. Because it's not. Because when you're looking at the current day and age where we have masterpieces out there, like Ryan Coogler's Sinners, we have the masterpiece on Netflix, The Forever Show from Mara Brock Akil, which is just incredible. Incredible acting, incredible storyline. You have Ava DuVernay. So you have these people that are putting out, even, Shonda Rhimes, we have the people that are putting out great works from a black perspective. And then you have Tyler Perry, who's stayed pretty much in his same lane. And I appreciate that he knows what he's good at. But at some point, you do have to show respect for your audience and say, hey, let me step my game up and give you this. But that's not to discredit Tyler Perry. He has truly changed cinema. He has changed Hollywood and brought it to the East Coast. He's given so many actors and actresses jobs, and I appreciate him for that. I just want him to step up to the next level. Hire some new writers. Hire some new directors. He can just be the figurehead. He can be the one supplying the money in the studio at this point. He doesn't need to be boots on the ground with everything anymore. That's not who he is. You're a billionaire producer. You don't have to be on the ground doing it. You need to hire other people to do these things, I think, at this standpoint, to really get some quality work. Not saying this wasn't quality. Again, I think Taraji P. Henson did a great job. Is this one of my top Tyler Perry films, like a lot of people are saying? Absolutely not. I'm not putting this anywhere close to some of my favorites, like Daddy's Little Girl, even 6888, which I reviewed recently. Again, I commended him because he went a step in a new direction, which I respected. This is kind of taking a step back to what he's always done. There was nothing really imaginative about this. I watched it. Overall, did I enjoy this film? I gave it a 1 out of 2. So I'm going to give the entire movie a 7 out of 10 for a prescription, which again, for me, feels like a really high score for this movie because I don't think it was an amazing film. From a Tyler Perry standpoint, and I hate to say that, it probably is one of his better films. If you're just looking for a movie that's got a little bit of a twist at the end, and does have good acting. And I will say, with 6888 in this movie, he is delving into the idea of having what I call a full script. With a lot of his projects, he leaves a lot of room and a lot of space for artist interpretation, where there's a lot of dead space, a lot of noises, a lot of just mannerisms that take you out of the movie or out of the TV show. I think he's done away with that with this movie and with his last movie, and I appreciate that. The entire movie was filled with things that were scripted. There was no dead space. There was no just making little mannerisms that show that he didn't have a full script. So from that standpoint, I appreciated it. Prescription, 7 out of 10. I do understand there's a place for this plot and people can identify with this plot, but I also believe that us as a Black audience deserve more. We have a lot of stories to tell. We're not a monolith, and this is not our one story, is that we're down and out and there's no way to rise above other than breaking the law. There's a lot of other stories to be told from a Black perspective, and I do believe that one day he is going to do that. So I'm going to keep looking out for that. Tell me what you think below. I know Tyler Perry films are typically pretty polarizing because some people love them, some people hate them. This one was middle of the road for me. Again, let me know below.